as you age, once again, especially if you're weak, injuries are gonna start to happen. The thing is, you can't compare yourself to someone that's younger or youthful. You have to look at where you're at. And I start all my clients, depends on where they're at, their fitness level. And you have to look, sometimes there's only 15 minutes that you could do. So if you're a bit more, you're carrying a little bit more weight or you're a bit weaker, you're not gonna, let me go and jam out, 45 minutes. No, you start off with maybe 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then slowly work up to it.
Adrian, how you doing today?
I am very well, Trevor. How are you doing?
Doing great. Really excited about our conversation we're about to have here today.
Yep, we've got Raymond Lambert coming on. He is I call him a personal trainer, but focusing on a broad, holistic approach to health, focusing mostly on folks who are a little bit older, which is not maybe where I think the default is for personal training. And I think there's a lot of value potentially in that, slightly older client, coming up near retirement, maybe thinking about their physical fitness as well as their, financial fitness, which is something that you and I focus on.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited as well. There's been a lot of research over the last little while about building muscles and, weight training as you get older being so important. So I'm really excited to hear about what he has to say. So let's get him on here. Let's have a chat with Raymond Lambert.
Perfect.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good.
How are you doing?
Not bad.
Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been exciting topic.
Well, it's your topic, so yeah, it is exciting. we're excited as well. This is this is something that's just as we get older, and I think we're all kind of similar age, similar vintage here. But I know as I'm getting older, like it's just tougher to stay in shape. It's tougher to do the things I did yesterday at the same rate I did today. So both Adrian and I are very excited to chat with you and to dive into the whole pieces of mental and physical health and well-being. So this is exciting.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So why don't you just if we could start off just by maybe giving us a kind of an overview of what it is that you do, why you're the expert that we're talking to here today about all these great things.
Yeah, so I'm going to start off by telling you where I started. I started off in insurance. I worked in insurance for about 23 years, dealing in group benefits. So that, health, dental, life insurance, disability, working as a group rep with agents and brokers. And then when I come to the end, I was working with consultants. I was a consultant working directly with clients and helping them, with their group plan, their group benefit plan. One of the things I noticed, it's especially when you go to do a renewal and you see the drug reports, is all these, the clients always complain about, the increase is so great. And I noticed a lot of the lifestyle drugs, Lipitor, those kind of things that deals with high blood pressure or lifestyle issues, stuff that you could be exercising that could help, but at high usage. But at the time, sometimes you can't tell your client, hey, it's a lifestyle drugs, you should exercise. And I was like, I want to do something about that. And that's why I decided that I was always into fitness and exercising, but not, I was always certified, but once again, for my own personal interest, not to work with anyone or help anyone. And then the opportunity came for me to get involved in wellness, and I took it. And, I like, once again, aging and I work with people in my age category. So which is 40 and up. That's what I deal with. And because that's what you said, that's where some of the ailments start to come. Youth is no longer on your side. So you have to work now you have to put in some effort to.
Raymond, I honestly, I didn't know that you had to stretch until I turned 40. And then I was like, oh my goodness, why am I so sore? And my wife's a physiotherapist, and she's like, Trevor, you have never stretched a day in your life. Like that is why now you're old. So it catches up quickly.
Yeah. Sometimes you step off the bed and it's like, oh my God, my knees.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So that's why I decided to get into, and I'm like, what's going to be my target market? And I wanted to be people like my age, people in my age bracket that we could all relate to, whether it's high blood pressure, whether it's some sort of ailment, whether it's, you're seeing people around you or even your own family have some sort of sickness and they're trying to recover. Those are the things I sort of deal with, and those are the clients that I operate with. So it's not the sexiness of fitness in terms of the looks, but it's more of the being, which is what we, it's about how you age, understanding where you're at, and how do I continue to do it? Because it's easy once you hit 50, let me just chill, right? So, like in anything. And those are the times when what I've learned is you actually got to work out harder. Once you hit 50 or 55 or 60, you got to put in more work then, because youth no longer on your side.
So along that lines, like you were saying, like once you hit 50, you can just kind of chill. Like I imagine talking to people about their physical fitness in a way that you do. Like a lot of people would come back with something like, I play pickleball, I go for walks in the evenings, I play a little golf here and there. Like I'm active. Like, and how is that different than what you're talking about?
Yeah, so those things are, once again, it's great. They're doing something, and you have to commend someone for doing that. It's better than doing nothing. So walking is probably the baseline. And then now you have to say pickleballs, because sometimes not everyone likes the gym or, to do some kind of system exercise. So some people you have to look at people, what they like. So someone likes pickleball. I have clients who, they also enjoy pickleball. So we incorporate that. Pickleball is going to be like your cardio, but you still need to do resistance training. Resistance training keeps you strong and sustain you, because once you hit 40, your muscles start to go the other way. So like your muscle growth, it starts to, if you don't use it, it actually atrophy, what's called, and it's like use it or lose it. So at that age, if you're not using it, you're going to end up losing it. So that's why sometimes you see people with a walker or a cane or something. It's because they don't have any muscle strength. So pickleball is great. All those things are wonderful for your cardiovascular system and your mobility, but you need to have that physical strength, which comes from strength training.
No, exactly. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And for the last kind of, call it 5 to 7 years, maybe a little bit longer, I've been more focused on the cardio side, and it's largely because like what Adrian was saying with the pickleball. Adrian and I are both cyclists, so we've been more on that side of things just because that's what we enjoy to do. Now that I'm in my 40s, I'm not quite at the 50s level yet, but is it time that I start like getting some weight training into my morning routine? And is this something I can do without weights as well, or minimal equipment? Is this something I can do from home, or do I have to go to the gym? What would you kind of recommend for someone like Adrian and I? Adrian's not quite. You hit 40, right?
40. I'm 40.
Yeah,
I'm there.
So there you go.
Yeah. So listen, the gym is some people like the gym, right? That's where you go. There's a sense of community that comes there, especially as you get older. It's good to, you see some of the times you go, you see the same people. So you build your community friendship. There's a lot of people like, I like the gym. When I go, there are people I see, and you build a community. But there's some of us, like I said, if you have children or you're busy or you have a life, you just need a pair of dumbbells. And they have now the adjustable dumbbells. So you don't need to get like 5 or 6 different weights. You get the adjustable dumbbells, which goes from 3 all the way up, say, to 50 or 60 pounds, and you can adjust it. So you get those dumbbells, you make that investment. So you get those dumbbells, and you could do a routine with that. So you work in the major muscles: squats for your legs, chest press or bicep curls for your arms and chest, back rows for your back, and just you create a little routine with that. While you go for a run at the track close to your house, or you go for a walk in the morning. So you do a combination, and you don't have to leave, like in terms of weights, you don't have to leave your house. You wake up, whether it's your garage or your basement or a room in your house or your apartment or condo, wherever you live, and you just create a little routine. So the gym is something that we say the gym, but it's anywhere. It's anywhere. What we're trying to, and I think the conversation here is, especially as we age, we're trying to remove the story, the excuse. There is no excuse. It's like, the gym is great because, like I said, especially if you don't have friends, or you don't have that, if you're retiring, or you're in that phase where you don't have that work group anymore, you could build that through the gym. So you build a sense of community through the gym. But if you are one of those people, that's someone that's just independent and you have a family or you have a circle of friends and you don't want to go to the gym, that's because it's time consuming also, depends on where it's located. You just, at home, you create a system.
I love what you just said about excuses and that side of it. And this is something that I think is really difficult for people. Like we do a really good job of justifying why we'll do it tomorrow and not today. And part of my so I've been getting up a little bit earlier the last year or two, and trying to get a little bit better morning routine into my life, and trying to do a little bit of HIIT workout in the morning, or get on my indoor cycling bike when the weather's not super nice. And what I found that I had to do, because I would get up, and if I walked past the door to go down to my basement where everything was set up, well, that's where my coffee machine is, and that's where my work is, or the TV where I can watch Sports Center or whatever. So I knew as soon as I crossed that threshold, I was not getting a workout in. And what I tried to do was, instead of grabbing my comfy pants from behind my door, I had my workout stuff there. So I was trying to create these different routines and habits in that. And going to the gym for a lot of people is, well, I can't go because of whatever it is. It's that kind of threshold that as soon as they step over it, it's really easy to justify why they're not going to go. Is this something that you help people with as well to get past? And I know this is one of the things that you talk about is the mental mindset. Is this part of it too? Is getting past that?
It's removing the story. So I heard you talk about habits and creating like a system. That's what it is for me as a trainer. It's creating a system that it's like you have your Google Calendar or you have your schedule, and where you could schedule your workout and you could do it. That's why I come in as a trainer. I could schedule. So I have it. I do a follow-up with my clients the night before. Hey, we're good to go. Just like you guys do for us, set up for this podcast, and another reminder. You do that. Mm-hmm. So everyone knows it's like a meeting. No, it's part of your day, and you set it up. But what it is it's removing the story, because we all have a story of why we can't make it, right? Like, your day gets too busy, too many meetings, so on and so forth. You have to see clients. All those things could easily come up. And by the time you turn around, it's 7:00, then you have another, I gotta spend time with the family. And then, oh, you know what? I'll do it tomorrow. But when you create, what I do is I create a system. So you have a system in place. For me, I set them on Sundays. I send it out to the week. If I have a client 3 days, 4 days. So it's already set. So they know it's already set. So that time slot is already booked. And they know, hey, you know what? If I need to, have to contact Raymond and let him know. And sometimes most people don't want to disappoint you, and they already make an appointment or a meeting. They don't want to cancel unless, especially as we age, stuff comes up. So you have to give that room for that. But we're just talking in general, like stuff that, you don't want to cancel your meeting.
And it's your source of accountability, which is enormous for a lot of people. We need it,
yes.
Right? A lot of people are not accountable to ourselves very well. We need to be accountable to some outside, influence, and you would provide that. It sounds like, and I love what you're talking about the systems. Like for me, I've tried to anchor it to the hockey games, so I would loosely identify as a Leafs fan. But instead of sitting on my couch,
even after what's going on right now, I'm not sure when this is going to air, but maybe this will be. We'll just cut that if it's.
My faith is not strong in the Leafs. Let's put it that way. But it's still the team I'm going to watch.
Yeah.
But instead of sitting on my couch watching the Leafs game, before I turn the game on, I go and I get the dumbbells, and then I figure these guys are professional athletes working extremely hard for my entertainment. Really, at the end of the day. And so why shouldn't I grab the weights and do a little workout while I'm watching this go on, instead of sitting on the couch doing nothing? And so for me, I'm not great at getting up in the morning. I'm not going to do what Trevor's doing, but I can anchor it to the hockey game. Try to do a workout every time that's going on. That creates some consistency for me.
And once again, you hit a key word. You make it what works for you, right? So it's, some people are like, oh, you got to grind from 5 a.m. and not everybody is a morning person. Sometimes people like later. But some people like to, you get your workout done early and then you have the rest of your day to yourself. But for me, that doesn't work because I have clients early in the morning. So around, 2:00, sometimes 3:00, that's what works for me when I can go get my work with it. So if I was this person, then I can't get it done in the morning. Then almost like you have to give yourself an excuse. Well, it's never going to get done. But no, you make it, all right, I can't do it in the morning, but I could do it, afternoon or sometimes later after, so you have to create a system and find something that works for you. As we talk about aging, like I said, something that when you have work, and people move away from that routine, that schedule. Now you're retired. You need to still create some systems where, hey, you know what? I'm still going to get up at, instead of getting up at 7, probably get up at 8, but I still kind of create some routines in the day where I get my workout in and make it happen.
And do you find with some of these, like a little bit older clientele than us, for example, like injuries tend to kind of come up, and do injuries get in the way? And like, how much do you have to work around bodies that just physically don't work as well as they used to?
Yeah. So that's a beautiful question that you're bringing there, because as you age, once again, especially if you're weak, injuries are gonna start to happen. The thing is, you can't compare yourself to someone that's younger or youthful. You have to look at where you're at. And I try to start all my clients, depends on where they're at, their fitness level. And you have to look, sometimes there's only 15 minutes that you could do. So if you're a bit more, you're carrying a little bit more weight, or you're a bit weaker, you're not gonna, let me go and jam out, 45 minutes. No, you start off with maybe 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then slowly work up to it. So instead of starting off with, I'm going to squat 30 pounds, you start off with, I'm going to squat 5 pounds, and then 5 turns into 8, 8 turns into 10, 10 turns into 15. So you can start strengthening your knees, your joints, all those things. So you have to kind of really pay attention to where you're at and not compare yourself to that youthful person that you were. Oh, when I was in university, I used to be so jacked. I think sometimes we're stuck in that story, and we go out there and want to go and, sprint, like Usain Bolt, and we're not there, So for me, it's about reminding them about the ego. When you come to work out, leave the ego at the door. Let's start from where your body is able to take you, and then we're going to build. So we're not trying to injure you. We're trying to build.
Yeah, it's funny you kind of mentioned that, because I think, a lot of us identify with, the athlete we were, or whatever that was. You see that on the pickup games where, I think it's probably more of a male thing than a female thing. And I could be completely wrong, but, we sit around and have our beer and, talk about those good old days so often. And I could just imagine with you where, I used to bench 250. Well, yeah, that was like 35 years ago.
Yeah.
And all you've done is drink beer and sit on your butt in an office job for the last, 35 years.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a little bit of setting better expectations of where they are today as opposed to where they were.
But you really have to know where you're at. Like yesterday, I was at the gym, and I was doing some bench press. And I'm pretty strong. I can lift pretty heavy. And this young, guy is like, "Oh my God, is that your PR?" And I'm like, look at him, and having another guy who's my age, and we work out together. We look at each other, and we're like, PR? No, my PR is getting to the gym when I say I get to the gym. So if I only get there 5 days, that's my PR. I'm not trying to, I can bench press, 200 pounds. Like, as you get old, you don't live there, because that's not my goal.
Yeah.
But when you're young, it's like, I could, bench press 300 pounds. Well, as you get older, you have to know, like, hey, maybe I could do it, but I'm not going to try and do that. I'm trying to get here. If I say I want to get here 3 days or 4 days, that's my PR. Trying to get there 4 days a week.
How relevant is consistency then? Like when you're working with your clients and developing a program, like how relevant is consistency? How much are people committing to? How much is time that is spent with you? And is there time that is spent on their own doing some of this as well? Or like, how does that work for you?
Yeah, so this is collaborative, right? And consistency, other than mindset, consistency is the next key that you have to bring. It's like, you can't do it like once in a while. Like it's a system of what works for you. Is it 3 days a week? Is it 4 days a week? And once again, it depends on where you're at, depends on your fitness level, depends on your lifestyle, all those things matter. But if you say, hey, 3 days, 4 days, I sometimes 3 to 4 days is good for our age, bracket. 3 to 4 days, it's pretty good. Depends on your fitness level and what you're looking to accomplish. But you have to be consistent. It has to be something where you create a system. And if it's 3 to 4 days a week, you go 3 to 4 days a week. Okay, you know what? I'll do this for 3 months. You take a little breather, reset, 3 more months, take a little breather, reset. So what I try to do when a client comes to me, I sit down with them and I'm honest. I'm like, listen, I need a 12-month commitment. But with that 12 months, you break it down and you say, okay, let's do the first 3 months and see how it goes. And then the next 3 months. But after that 12 months, they realize, okay, no, you need 12 more months. And then it's 12 more months. And then it's 3 years, it's 5 years, it's 7. That's actually what it takes. It takes the next for the rest of our lives. But you can't, most people, and for all of us, that's too big. So we have to break it down and, hey, let's kind of do the 3 months and then we'll do 3 months and then so on and so forth. But consistency, that is with your nutrition, with your sleep. You have to create a bedtime. Try to get to bed at as adults, we forget that. When you're kids, you set it up, you have to get to bed at a certain time. But as adults, we're kind of sleeping whenever, not realizing that as you sleep, it helps repair your body. So you need to get to bed, a certain time. Like, hey, if it's 10 o'clock, it's 10. If it's 11, it's 11. Try and be consistent with that. The same thing with your nutrition, the same thing with your sleep, the same thing with your thought process, how you think about yourself and who you are and what you want to accomplish and how you want to carry yourself and your confidence level. All that matters. So, it's living your word. Okay, 4 days a week, I am going to get there 4 days a week.
So is that kind of the goal and when you're talking about, and I want to get to some of those other pieces that you just touched on,
yep.
With the mindset and nutrition and sleep and all of that, because I think like we had talked about previously, you and I, like it is about the whole holistic health that you are coaching your clients towards. But when it comes to that consistency, and I mean we see consistency in our business as well, where if we say you need $2 million to retire, that's a huge number. People a lot of times don't know how to get there, but it is that, probably not $50 a month, but, $1,000 a month or whatever to kind of get there. And it might start off a little bit less, like you're talking about, where, as you're growing your practice and your work and your career, it might start off at $50, but then you need to continue to add to that to get to the ultimate goal. Is when you're talking that 3 to 4 times a week, weight training or just like exercise, or do you have like 3 days a week of weights and then make sure you're getting out and walking a few other days along there?
Yeah, so for me, whenever a client comes to me, it's mostly weight training. I would say weight training, strength and conditioning, right?
Okay, yeah.
And on their own, they could go for a walk, they could do little sprints in the park. It depends on where they're at, but usually you want to go for a walk or incorporate pickleball. I have clients who also do pickleball or some other activity, go for a hike. But mainly when they come with me is doing the resistance training, because on their own, they're not going to do it. But the walk, you could get up in the morning, go for a walk before bed, or depends on if you work from home, go out for your lunch. After your lunch, go for a walk. It depends on your lifestyle. So yeah, with me, it's resistance training, and then on their own, incorporating some form of cardiovascular movement throughout the day.
Awesome. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And the work's never done. Like, this is something that's not, I think something we have to remove this, I need to do this for 30 days and I'm good. Like, this is something that you have to, like you talk about, fine, like you start off with, like I said, $50 and then 50, maybe turn to 75 and then 100. It's not something that you do, one season and you're done. Like, you have to keep doing it, keep investing, so to speak.
I think it's the difference between having like how you set the goal. If you set the goal to lose 10 pounds, that's a temporary goal, right? You can do things to achieve that goal, and then the goal is over. You have lost the 10 pounds, or you haven't, depending on how successful you've been. But the goal is kind of over. If you're trying to change who you are, if there's like some identity in there, I want to be a fit person, like that's a permanent decision. Right? That's a commitment that's going to be for always. Like, I'm always going to want to be a fit person. Or at least that's the intention if you're going to make that kind of commitment. Yeah. So I wonder how much identity plays here. And if you can talk about that, like, I for example, I know, especially for men, I think, although nurses are a really interesting one as well. Like, nurses are nurses, man. Like, they are committed to nursing, right? That is who they are. And then they have they retire, they're in their mid 50s, they got a great pension, they retire, and who they are has to change. And I wonder if filling that void with, fitness or with strength, with like, I am the kind of person who is strong, that is who I am, is part of what you're talking about when you start talking about, mindset and that kind of stuff.
Well, that's where you want to get to. That's a really, really good point. But when it comes to health and fitness and strength, we always kind of associate that with the jocks, right? Or people would have they have a story that, well, I was never into, exercising, and I wasn't allowed, or I was too scared. There's all these stories that comes. So we have this block up when it comes to exercise, that exercise is for a particular group of people, which is the jocks, so to speak, right? That, you were born with this gene and this, you're gifted in that area. Not, as sometimes as you get older, like I said, you have to kind of relearn and retrain your mindset. Exercise is for everybody. I think there's a slogan is everyone is an athlete. Like, I think one of those companies have that, like you could walk, you're an athlete, so to speak. And we're all athletes. No, some of us may not be that professional athlete, but we have to look at ourselves as an athlete. And I get up, even if it's walking, I want to be, get up every day and create a system to walk. I want, my health. I want to get up every day and do whatever it takes to have optimal health as I age, to enjoy the fruits of my labor. And that comes from, you really have to be in a place where you have to be open to that. And a lot of times we're blocked with our thinking. We already have this thinking, that we kind of take into our adult life. I was never good at sports. Exercise is for a particular group, and I don't fit that group. And we buy into that. And then if we're not careful, unless maybe sometimes we get a doctor scare, or the doctor says, a health scare, and the doctor says you need to exercise or something, most probably we sort of buy into that. And exercise is this thing you struggle to do, as opposed to this thing you get to do, especially if you're able-bodied and you're able to do it. So it does require either a good community where you could have these type of discussions and sort of break away that sort of mindset of, hey, exercise for a particular group of people, and realize exercise could be for all of us. The barrier to entry exercise, there's no sort of stat that you can get into it. You could move, but you have able-bodied, you could exercise. And we have to keep that in mind. But we do have a lot of these things that we block, and it's like, exercise that's not for me, or that's too hard, or, so on and so forth. And this is where I come in, where no, exercise could be for everyone. You look at where you start, but it's one of those things where it's not a bed where you start here and you stay there. You could get better. So you start off lifting 3 pounds, 3 pounds turn into 5 pounds, 5 pounds turn into, 10, and so on and so forth. It's one of those things where you can actually see the results if you keep doing it.
I love something you said in there, and I think this is a good kind of transition into kind of the mindset piece.
Yeah.
I went out and did this crazy bike race out west last year called the BC Bike Race. And it was way more intense than anything I've ever done. And we're climbing these huge, huge, huge hills. And I think most people there were going, what did I sign up for? Why am I doing this? And one of my really good friends who has really worked on his mindset over the last number of years was like, no, Trev, we get to do this. And I think that was such an amazing way of just thinking about things differently, is that there's so many things that could have derailed us from being able to do that. And we were able to do this crazy, difficult thing. There's so many things that can stop us from doing the things we want to do. And like you kind of said, we get to do these things. So like, how do we change our mindset to have that as our thought process, as opposed to, oh, I have to do this, I have to go to the gym, as opposed to I get to go to the gym?
Yeah. So unfortunately, this is something that it's not easy to do. I would never say it's easy to do. And it's starting to see this as a privilege. It's like being a parent. It's like being, taking on anything, a particular passion or a task. It's realizing that this is a privilege, that, I am alive, I'm 50, I'm alive. I could, make the most of whatever time I have left, however I've done. That does require a level of thinking as opposed to just drifting along. So you do require, whether it's a good circle to kind of have these kind of discussions, whether it's what we're doing here to have these type of discussions. Because if you're not that person that's into personal growth or into being introspective of, hey, how am I being? How am I doing? Am I good or do I need to make some adjustments? Then you have to get to that space. And once you're in that space of, okay, I need to make some adjustments. So usually when someone decides to take on a fitness challenge or get in shape, they're kind of been frustrated. Something has happened and they're like, okay, you know what? I don't like the path that I'm on. So it's easy then to sort of get into that discussion of, hey, we start off exercising, but you kind of realize, it's a mindset. How you think about yourself, how you perceive yourself, how you see yourself matters. So then you start to, okay, this is a privilege that I get to do. And once you kind of use those words like it's a privilege, you bring it to realize, you know what? There's a lot of people who can't do this just because of however, whether it's different ailments, whether they've had a heart attack or a stroke or something, and they can't get to do that. So you realize that you let them, myself, I have to keep reminding myself of that. And then others, hey, this is a privilege. Look at it from that perspective and then build from there. You're not going to conquer it in day one, but it's something that you have to keep doing on a consistent basis. So, for the next 3 months, for the next 6 months, I am just going to focus on priority me. And a lot of times I think we're so focused on taking care of everybody else. You have children, the focus is on them. You have aging parents, the focus is on them. You have your career, the focus is on them and being of service. And you always sometimes tend to fall somewhere down the line. And by the time you turn around, you're out of shape and you're not in shape. I'll give you an example. One of my clients, she gained a lot of weight because, her son got sick. Then her husband turned around and got sick and she forgot herself. So she wanted to get back in shape. And she's in her 60s, wanted to get back in shape. And that was one of the things. Last year, her husband got sick again. And she's like, listen, Raymond, I need you. I want to be there for him, but I don't want to stop my exercise program. I don't want to let myself go again. And that's the thing that we have to keep in mind sometimes. Like, it's not selfish to take care of yourself. Like it's actually, you're actually benefiting others when you take care of yourself as a caregiver, because you show up more powerful for them when you yourself, you are in shape. So you have to look at it from that perspective. Once you kind of look at it from that, a lot of times I think we have these things also built in. It's like, okay, if I'm just focusing on me, then I'm being selfish. But no, it actually gives you more strength to take care of others when you yourself is strong.
There's a reason why they have put the mask on yourself first in the airplane, right? If you're not taking care of yourself first, you can't take care of somebody else, right?
Yeah.
And I think we forget that, right? There's a little bit of martyrdom, I think, that happens with it as well. Where
we have it backwards sometimes because I don't know, there's something built in there where you're, okay, wait a minute. If I'm taking care of myself, then, there's some selfishness to that, but not realizing, no, the more powerful you are, the better you are for others.
You talked about a couple of things. Like, you talked about mindset earlier. You talked about sleep and nutrition. We haven't hit on those nearly as strongly. And then obviously exercise. Is there like a rank to these? Is there a priority? Is there a place that people should start? Like, obviously, I think they come to you looking for the strength and the exercise part. But I mean, the whole picture matters, and these are all interrelated. Yeah. Like, how do you go about it?
So for me personally, I think the mindset is the place to start. Right? Like, once you kind of get your mindset, hey, I need to take care of me. If I take care of me, I'll be strong for everybody else. I'll be powerful for everybody else. I'll do that. But however, when my clients come, they're not coming from that perspective. They're frustrated. They're coming, I need to lose, 15 pounds. I need to lose 20 pounds. So they're frustrated. So I have to start off with exercise. And then from the exercise, now you start building in, hey, all right, we're getting the exercise going. How are you feeling about you? Like, where do you, how do you see yourself? How do you perceive yourself? And then build from there. And then that ties into, all right, you're exercising now. How do you get, food matters now. It's this, we can't, unfortunately, when you're young, I'm sure you go out, you come home, you go to the club, you do something, 3 o'clock in the morning, eating a hot dog and, different things. Now it's like, You can't do that anymore. There's some foods that just doesn't work for you anymore. You can have that steak at one point in time. Now it's like, that doesn't work anymore. So you do have to kind of reach that point where, man, I'm not a kid anymore. I can't eat like I used to.
We're still trying to figure that out. I know Adrian and I played some men's league hockey, and you go bust your butt for an hour, and then it was like upstairs for like a gigantic pizza and wings and share a pitcher of beer, and then we wonder why we didn't lose any weight, and almost like the opposite, right, Adrian? Like,
yeah, totally. No, it's honestly, it's part of the reason I stopped playing hockey. Like, I still want to be active, but men's league hockey, I was consuming more calories than I was burning. Like, it was not to my benefit, and it was affecting my sleep because it was late at night on a Friday, and it would screw up my weekend and my relationships with my family, and like, just like, it was fun, but it wasn't the right thing. It wasn't supporting the mindset. It wasn't supporting the sleep. It wasn't supporting, like, it was exercise, but it wasn't supporting fitness, and clearly not nutrition either. Like, these 4 things that you referenced, it wasn't ticking any of those boxes for me. Yeah. And so that was, an easy exit once I figured that out, I think.
You brought up a really good point here, which is, it's awareness, right? Like one of the things for me, I don't necessarily recommend any particular diet. But what I recommend is being aware of the foods you eat, how it impacts you. So that was the thing you're saying. You recognize, hey, it actually screws me up when I eat that late. So you have to be kind of like aware. You can't fall asleep. It's being aware of, all right, I ate the steak. Oh, it didn't, it's not working as the way when I was younger. It's not working the same way. The system is not digesting this properly. I'm bloated. I'm this. All those things you have to kind of aware of what you're eating. How it's impacting your body. How is your body feeling? Are you sluggish, or does food give you energy? Because food really should make you come alive in terms of your eating. It helps you digest it properly. Everything functions well. You get energy. You get the strength. The protein helps you build muscles. The carbs helps you get energy, and the fat just helps every overall function. So it's once you kind of understand that, then it works well. But sometimes we mindlessly we don't think about it. We just eat and not realizing that the food, it's medicine.
Yeah, totally.
There's a good science behind the types of food you eat and how you eat and how it benefits you.
Do you talk to any of your clients about supplements, or is it more about diet or a combination? Is there?
Yeah, we and once again, I don't promote any particular supplement, because if you're eating the right foods, because we're not, unless you're competing at a high level where you're burning, you need about 5,000 to 7,000 calories a day. Most of my clients they're working, or they're retired. So you don't need as much, like, you need food, but you need enough food to sustain your muscles that you're building, to give you the energy to function. That's where you eat. So supplements, if your diet is crappy and you're not eating properly, so you're not having enough protein with your breakfast, you're having a snack or a sandwich or something at lunch, and then a proper dinner, carbs, protein, which depends what you like. If you're not eating that way, then yes, you want to throw in some supplements in there to help you. But I don't really, if you're getting it from your foods, if you're eating the right foods, you don't really need a particular supplement, unless there is something that's, when you do your blood work and it shows that you're low in some particular area, iron, this and that, then but that's something that we would have to discuss with your doctor and make sure that you're on that right path. Eating the right foods, you're good.
Yeah. And that's tricky, right? And especially with today's price and the cost of food and all that, to get, like, I don't do the grocery shopping in my house, but I do hear about the cost of strawberries on almost a weekly basis. And I just kind of nod and smile because I have no idea what the baseline is on it, but it sounds like they're getting pretty expensive. Like $9 for a thing of strawberries seems crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure you help fund it. I actually do grocery store tours with my clients, so that's one of the things I offer them. And
cool.
Yes, and I do the groceries, in my house. But I do grocery store tours with my clients, and yes, it is quite what we're talking about here. It's when we talk about it's a privilege, it is a privilege, because it can be quite pricey. It's easy to do the processed stuff because sometimes they're a bit cheaper, but the processed foods are not necessarily benefiting you in the way that the natural foods does. But obviously we live in the world now, and funds is also an issue, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, balance both seems seems trickier and trickier, and especially for those that are retired and on more of a fixed budget. But no, that seems amazing. So take us through just very quickly, what's the typical reason for people to reach out to you? How do they do that? Is it from injury? And then just walk us kind of quickly through, because you just mentioned something about taking them on a grocery store tour, which seems an amazing part of this whole thing, as opposed to just saying, yeah, eat more vegetables. So what is that journey with you and your clients look like? How do they reach out to you? What does that all look like?
Yeah, so most of my clients I meet starts off with word of mouth, which is clients that I train. They recommend, they're someone else like that. That's how it starts off. I'm on LinkedIn, which is at Raymond Lambert. Some people I get reached out there. Instagram, I use at linebackers_PT. On Facebook, same thing at linebackers_PT or Raymond Lambert. I have both. I use both. So I get
perfect. Well, we'll add those in below there, so everybody will be able to click on that. So
I get DM on that, or like I said, a lot of it is 80% is word of mouth. But how they come, it's some sort of frustration. It starts off as weight loss or being sluggish or out of shape, or there's some sort of ailment that you're going through, and you want to be better as you age. However you want to go. So it depends, right? But mostly starts off with weight loss, because that's what people think it's weight loss. Like you can start, I'm a little bit heavier than I should be. My clothes don't fit the way I like it to fit. You get frustrated, or you go to the doctor. The doctor gives you, whether your high blood pressure, your sugar levels are pre-diabetic, those type of things. That's so they come to me for that. When they come to me, I do like I have a rigorous intake, because it's not everyone that says they want to work out. Actually, sometimes we like the story of talking about exercising, but to actually do it's not easy. And I would never say it's easy. That's why you need to have a good trainer or a good community or a good group of people that actually wants to exercise. Because by yourself, it gets, after a while, if you train, you don't see results, you get frustrated. And then you quit. I'm not going to do that. But it's taking them through that process. Hey, I am here for you. I'm here to take you through this movement. We're going to start from here. Even if, the first minute, there's no weight loss, I could show you where you start off with 3 pounds. Now you're doing 5. Now you're doing 10. So those things work. And sometimes the weight doesn't come off immediately. But I see where you're at. So you talk about the grocery store tour. I have individuals who, if they live on their own and they eat out a lot. So that's another thing too. If you eat not a lot and you're not cooking, cooking is something that, sometimes people say, I'm not a good cook. So I show you how to do simple meals. Like, you get some salmon, you put it in the oven, you have some vegetables, you cook a scoop of rice or pasta. That's a meal. Like something you have to show. So when I talk about grocery store tour, it's showing people these things that it seems complex, because no one has ever showed you how to cook, but it's just these simple meals that you realize, oh my goodness, right? There's stuff now where you could order meals too that you could put together and warm them up and stuff like that, if you have disposable income to do that. But for the most part, when you go on a grocery store tour, I take you around, show you what are the carbs, what are the proteins, what are the fats, where do you get your minerals from, which vegetables, showing people that, and then how to put it together. And like I said, it's simple meals. Chicken, you put it in the oven, however you want to bake it. Like I said, you add some vegetables with that, you add some salad. If it's rice is your thing, if it's potatoes is your thing, if it's pasta is your thing, you'll add a little bit of that to it. And then the journey continues. So it's showing you that it's not this is not something that you do for 30 days. And people begin to realize that because, it's easy to, people want something quick. It was like, okay, 30 days, you can lose 30 pounds or whatever. Right. And people, those are nice, good clickbaits. People like that because they want it easy. But I start showing you, no, this is an ongoing thing. This is something you have to do all the time. How you eat is something that you have to create and do all the time. Each week, if Sunday or Saturday, do your groceries, you get the ingredients that you need. Okay, what am I going to eat this week? Whether it's chicken, whether it's fish, whether it's turkey, whatever protein that is. Avocados for the fats and different types of fish. You get fats. Also, different type of carbs. What do you like? Is it rice? Is it pasta? Working with those things, and then the vegetables and salad. You mix it up.
Fantastic. Raymond, thank you so much for spending quite a bit of time with us. We really appreciate it, for your insights. We'll make sure that your resources are linked in the show notes so that anybody listening to this can find you. You work out of Oakville primarily,
Yeah,
right?
primarily. So I do 80% of my clients are virtual. And then I have a studio in Oakville. So if people don't want to, we set up virtual if you like. If you want it in person, I have a studio in Oakville, Mississauga, board like 403 area. And Dundas, I have a studio there. It's mainly training clients that's there. So if you don't want to go to a big gym to start off, it's a nice place to get your privacy. And then you could, get into the exercise and then movements. I could in person and then virtual 15 minutes, 30 minutes. It depends on what works for you, where you're at, where you're starting. But I usually start off at 30 minutes. But if you're not, your fitness level is not there, 15 minutes. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, you guys. Raymond. Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Trevor, for having me. This has been awesome.
Thank you. Well, Adrian, that was an amazing conversation with Raymond. Any big takeaways from you now that you've officially hit 40 and that's kind of his demographic as working with older people, 40 and up?
Well, I learned a few things and it gave me some perspective. I think there's definitely a few things I'm not doing well and probably I knew that, but it's nice to be able to listen to a guy like Raymond and then bring that into your own life. And so I know that I'm not careful with what I eat and that's an opportunity for me to improve. I also was thinking about the interaction between, he talked about mindset, sleep, nutrition, and exercise. And I was thinking about the interaction of those because I know that I get the best night's sleep if I have a really good workout that day. I spend less time messing around on my phone before bed. I'm tired. I go to sleep. Then if I have better sleep, I make better food decisions the next day and I'm more motivated to work out again. So you end up in this cycle where I'm not sure, it doesn't matter where it starts, but you can get into this cycle where you're making an improvement on all of those different metrics because you've made an improvement on all of those different metrics. And I was just thinking about that while I listened to Raymond talk.
Yeah. And I think there's something there and to kind of, pick on what you just said about, starting with the cell phone. And I think when you talk about the mindset piece of it, why is that cell phone in the bedroom with you, right? And I think if we do these things more so when let's take away that piece that's creating the first part of that flow, right? And I think he wants to start with mindset, but that's not necessarily the driver for people to pick up the phone and call him. But it really makes sense what he was saying about how that is such kind of the main piece because you and I have made excuses more times than I'm sure we can count Absolutely. On why we didn't go for a bike ride and something we love to do or do the weights or have that last slice of pizza when you're already full or there's a lot of these things that we just do from the mindset piece that then like you said has us feeling sluggish because we had that extra piece of pizza or the next day you mentioned it not that long ago where future me hates me and a lot of that comes from just making better choices today. But I think even more so just taking away some of those drivers from kind of the negative side of it, which is really, really interesting and definitely something that's I'm going to work a little bit harder on after having this conversation with him today, just to make sure that we're just doing a little bit better on some of these pieces.
Yep, absolutely. I think it was great the way you mentioned putting your workout clothes instead of the comfy pants on the back of the door. So the first thing you put on is clothes, or setting yourself an expectation that if you're going to run You don't have to, like, it doesn't matter how far you run, but you have to put the shoes on, because once you've put the shoes on and you're standing in front of the door, like, you're probably going to go for the run, right? And maybe it's only 2K today because you just don't feel like it, right? But at least you went for the run. And it starts with, I got to put the shoes on. And that means the shoes got to be there by the front door. The clothes got to be ready to go. Like, preparing things so that when you find that you don't want to do the thing, it's still easy to do the thing.
That's it. Get rid of the friction and to kind of close things off. I think, Zwift, who we've both used on cycling before, I've seen it come up a few times where it basically says you're here today, you're doing this thing, and 80%, if that's all you've got, is really good enough. And like you're saying with the run, you don't have to do 10K. Just get out, do what you need to do. Start off, like Raymond was saying, start off with 3 pounds. If that's what it is, get out, do something. I also really like the fact that he's got a studio, like learning a musical instrument or something like that. I think a lot of people don't want to go to the gym because they're going to be lifting 3 pounds and the person next to them is going to be lifting 20 or 40 pounds or whatever it is. And there's that feeling that we kind of get of inadequacy. But if we go to more of a private gym, with someone like Raymond, that just takes away those excuses, takes away that friction.
All that social anxiety goes away, right? So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree. That's
exactly.
fantastic. Well, thanks, Trevor. I think it was a great conversation, and looking forward to the next one.
All right. Thanks, Adrian. Have a great day.
You too.